One of the challenges we have as young people is that because we are growing up in a generation where a foundation was already laid, we take a lot of things for granted. Many of us do not understand the sacrifices, the consistency, the energy, the visions that were born before us. For us to be able just to gather in this room to discuss matters that do not just pertain the development of our societies, but matters that look at the future of our continent as Africa. Young people think things happen magically on the internet because that is what we are delusioned to think. Some of us think it has been given on a silver platter. I keep encouraging my fellow young leaders that, you see, we have every reason to be grateful because the bush of our times are these conference halls. And that is why, as a young person, when you get the opportunity to be part of any space that shapes your knowledge better, that is going to polish you with the understanding of what others don't have the ability to basically grasp, that makes you different. There are millions of young people in this city. You can imagine how many are out there and what they are doing at this particular time. But here you are discussing Pan-Africanism.
Asante sana.
The generations before us were even fewer in number, but they were able to make strides that we still talk about today. My question has always been, what is so difficult for us as a generation? Even with the ease of the global village, we have everything at the tip of our hands. Research is easier to get. You just click away and you have all the information we need. We have the most productive tool to use, which is the internet. We still divert it and intentionally, most of the time, use it for other things. And that would be my main message for us here today. A foundation was already laid for us as young people, and it is our responsibility entirely to ensure that we add on blocks to that. I am a girl child activist. I particularly choose the word girl child because it starts from that level, from when somebody is a girl and then you transit into a woman. I am also part of the women movement. My greatest desire has always been that when someone sits in future and they are mentioning names of women that have created difference in their societies, as part of the women movement, my name would never miss during my time. And my prayer has always been that every young leader that is out there gets to understand that. I totally agree with Dr. Grace when she says that there is no one who is going to ride the women cause better than a man. One of the greatest challenges we've had, and this is my personal opinion, you can choose to disagree, as women, is women. Women have not yet reached that level of appreciation, of understanding the power that lies within us. And that is why we can afford to luxuriously offer it to others. The men, on the other hand, do not take any single slight opportunity for granted. You see, when the women movement was starting, there was a lot to fight for. There was a case to prove that women do not just deserve to be in the kitchen. Women do not just need to sit at home and nurture children. but they should also contribute to the development process. It came a long way, and society started appreciating it, embracing women in leadership at different fronts, fighting for different causes. One of the greatest arguments at that time was that, you see, women contribute a lot to the economy, and that includes even the work that is unnoticed that they do at home. And the gender activists termed it the unpaid care work. Over time, the men got to understand this notion. So one of the solutions that was given to that was that, you know what, if you want men to appreciate the hurdles that women go through, make unpaid care work payable in society. When that was done, when unpaid care work was now competitive in the economy, the men took over. The greatest chefs in hotels are men. The best cleaners in any facility will be men. The best nurses will be men. But this is work that women used to do for free. But now that it has an economic return, the men are in charge. And my question is, and women still do not see that. A chef in a hotel might not necessarily be the one cooking at his home, even when he has the time to. Because socialization has taught it that that is a woman's job. Now when you draw it wider to Pan-Africanism, that is where the genesis of Africa's problem comes, understanding the value of competition. It still lies within the women. Women will look at a sector that has been nominated and feel comfortable to mediocre around and say it is okay for us to be under this. We are women. And because women are at the center of nurturing the next generation, has the ability to compete with other continents. But because our mothers are silent at home, because our mothers have not gathered the strength to join other fellow women to fight for what rightfully belongs to them, Africa is lagging behind. Recently I was in Cameroon and I was very impressed by their currency, the Central African currency, very strong against the dollar. And I was asking myself, now that we have the African Free Continental Trade Area, why is it so hard for Africa to have this turned into a reality? When are we going to stop dreaming as Africans? And the answer lies in Africa understanding competition. That is the only thing that we don't do. And other continents understand that well. Even the countries that have grasped the power that is in competition are now taking over the world economy. Look at China. When we are talking about resources, Africa is most endowed. But we are suffering from the natural resource curse. When Doctor was talking about the pipeline here, looking at the comparisons of what is more beneficial to us and what is not, that is exactly what they ride on. They'll get a resource here as a raw material at a cheap price, go and add value to it, resell it to you in a competitive manner. At the world market, African products.
Especially the youth. Because I always felt that in all our plans, in all our education, in all our, whatever we do in the country, there was one big omission in how we handle the youth. Especially how we educate the youth. particularly how we expose them to all these differences, ours, parties, and so on. If it was up to me, I would not allow parties to appear anywhere near the youth. I want the youth, first of all, to understand that they are together. We are talking about Pan-Africanism, and this lady is the first Pan-Africanist I can vouch for. But for me, Pan-Africanism means that you look on the map of Africa, like that one, and it answers three things. That you are not alone, you have others in the continent, and that you have each other. Actually, you have nothing else, you have just each other. Now, I feel that when we grew up, children were an age group. We did not distinguish this so and so child. They were collectively owned as children. They were punished. If you find a child doing something wrong, you punish them even if you didn't know them. But now there's been so much ownership of the children that the youth has actually lost out. And I believe that we could begin teaching the youth by showing them how united they are, how connected they are, what they share. Actually, that we should not expose them to differences until they have understood how united they are, what they have to share between themselves. Because I believe that we introduce these differences prematurely to them. And I believe that we should first begin to understand how united we are, and then choose whatever choice they would make. I was actually in favor of the regional movement system, which we all belonged, and you know, each came up according to their individual merits, but we were all collectively the same, and there were no cocoons, there were no pockets, and so on. But anyhow, I'm not a speaker for today. I can just show you. I have just three particular bones that you must have. You must have a wishbone, you must have a backbone, and you must have, what is that bone? In the wishbone, because you wish, you pray, and so on, you have the wishbone. And a backbone, you stand your ground, you are a moralist, you have principles, and you really stand your ground. And then, of course, the other bone is, you stand, you have what we call a funny bone. You are a happy person, you aim to please others, and so on. So those three bones, I implore you, as youth, explore them, develop them, be happy, be firm on your principles, and of course, share everything. But really, as a Pan-Africanist myself, I'm happy to be associated with this wonderful
found in democracy, where you do not actually remember what you are worth or who you were or what you have to offer, but you think because you are red or green or white, you must be voted in and you are the best person. I think that is the wrong concept. And thank God that in Pan-Africanism, at the Pan-African Women Organization, we don't look at your color, we look at your capacities. Yes. We look at what you have to offer. When you are here demanding space and demanding half of the cake or half of the budget, turn around and ask yourself, what have you got to offer? What do you bring to the table? Because when we were pushing for the gender parity, we actually came out with evidence. We murdered the other 51% to the levels where you can make sense out of yourself. We back up these gentlemen. We practically bridge the gaps. Actually, these selfless women who are ready to do whatever it takes and not demand payment. Because if you were to pay women, young men in this hall, and you daughters, how much would you pay your mothers? Anybody offering?